Okay, how do we get the link again?
What do you mean?
YouTube link.
You can release your video. I don't know what that means.
Okay. This copy.
What are you? Be right back.
Paste. Okay. I'm gonna send you guys the YouTube link. Copy.
Is my audio all right?
Yeah, your audio is fine. You sound okay. Why isn't this showing her messages? That's so weird. There we go. Tapped. Okay. What in okay. Where is she? We're just waiting on her. What, buddy? What? What else? What? Here. Come here. Oh. Oh, say hi. Say hi until Chrissy gets back. He was like on my iPad. Like I'm using my iPad to see stuff too. So like he's on my iPad and he's like, I want to say hi. Huh. He can't be on the computer desk though. So work kicked my butt today.
Oh,
There
yeah?
you are. You're on mute, honey.
Anyway, let's do our show. Sorry, guys.
It's okay.
Do we have the link?
We are live. The link has been posted. So we are ready to go.
Awesome. Well, welcome to another episode.
Of Fast Lap with Chrissy and Deb. We have Michael Burroughs on with us.
Michael.
Today. Matthew. I'm so not here today. I'm sorry, guys. Oh, my first day back at work, and it kicked my butt hardcore.
It's all right. I had a rough day at work too, and I have to tell you, right now I have a lovely Chase Elliott Championship glass with some cold beer. Sorry, guys. Not sorry. In a day.
What are you drinking, Matthew?
Right now, I am drinking a Mountain Dew Maui Burst that I got from the Dollar General today.
Is that the new melon flavor?
No, this is the pineapple-based one from last year. I actually went to Dollar General today trying to find the melon. It's not in my neck of the woods yet.
It is not in my neck of the woods either. I was going to get a zero of it because they made it in the zero version. I was going to get the zero version for when I get my taste back, but nobody has it yet. People in North Carolina have it.
Oh, that's cool.
But it has not made its way to my part of Maryland or your part of Maryland, I guess.
Nope. Ben of Ben has found it in Colorado. He's got the review article just about ready to go for that. But I do have a one-sentence review from him. It says, "It's really good if you ever wanted liquid watermelon Sour Patch Kids."
Sounds interesting.
I don't know if I'd like that.
I haven't heard really good things from the Mountain Dew community about it. Certainly not as good as the other couple flavors they've released. But, oh well, they can't all be zingers.
No.
That's true.
Baja Blast is still my ultimate.
Yeah, that is pretty
Why
good.
that has to be seasonal in the cans and bottles.
Of course not. Hi, John and Christian. They're saying hi on the chat on YouTube.
Hi, guys. Hold up the YouTube so I can see it. I tried to turn this light on. I don't know if I need it. Oh, maybe not.
We're still getting Chrissy used to having a ring light.
Yeah. I don't think I need it right now because I have the whole house full of lights on. And usually I turn them off. So I'm just going to leave this. I don't know. We're figuring it out. It's still a work in progress. So
Matthew, tell us a little bit about what you wrote last year and if you have any plans for stuff this year as far as NASCAR or just racing in general.
Sure. So last year certainly didn't start with the intentions of writing a lot of stuff about NASCAR. ToBen.com's usually a pop culture website, and it morphed into mostly book reviews when I started with it, and we kept on that pace for a big part of 2019. Did a little bit of NASCAR stuff. My first one was about how Kyle Busch is trying to save NASCAR. Why won't you let him? It was just an opinion-based piece on how Kyle Busch, being the villain that he is really good for NASCAR, and people need to try to embrace that sort of thing. And basically, since then, it's been whenever something that I thought of as important enough, or at least something I could yammer on enough about, would come up, we'd write an article about it. So 2020 being what it is, we had so much stuff to talk about that it seemed like at least once a month there was a new article coming out. And then obviously with COVID, the community exploded the way it did, meeting you, wanting to be more of a writer and expand your social portfolio with that. A lot of good opportunities came from that, and we're going to keep that going into 2021, I hope.
Yeah, I'm actually going to have an article for people who don't know this, and I don't even know if I've told you yet, Chrissy. I'm gonna have something coming out the week of Daytona about and this is where Chrissy's gonna get her time to shine in one of my articles.
Oh, really?
The relationships in NASCAR, how your significant other made you a fan, if you bond with your significant other over being a fan, that kind of thing. And since Joe got you into the sport more than...
Sorry, guys. Bella is shaking the table. I'm really sorry. Bella, get out, please. A big girl here. Bella. Oh, God, food.
I already did the dog thing without you. Sorry.
It's okay.
So I'm going to be writing something along those lines to be released around Daytona / Valentine's Day, since that seems pretty appropriate. I'm pretty excited about it. It's been something I've been mulling over for a little while, so not quite sure where it'll turn, just like I wasn't sure what the female fan NASCAR article was going to turn into, so we'll see what happens.
Sounds good. Looking forward to it. That should be interesting.
Yeah.
Considering...
I complain that I never have written an article and got your opinion.
No. I give you crap because you and I got to know each other because you reached out to me about the article about female fans in NASCAR, and then I gave you all my answers, and you never put me in. And then you're like, oh, I'm going to put you in the second article, and I still wasn't in the second article. So I don't care. I just give you crap because I can. It's fun. It's fine.
It's fine.
Well, Chrissy, we're gonna need your help promoting the gathering of information from it, because with Deb's new Twitter style of people who only give her joy are allowed to follow her, we're gonna need some people to boost and actually get some responses that we so sorely need for it.
Sounds
I don't
good.
think I'll have a problem getting those. I've got people who bring me joy that have information on it, so...
You never know, we might need a wild card from somewhere.
Yeah.
So I want to throw a quick shout out to some people in the chat. John says he's drinking the Dr. Pepper cream soda. I haven't tried that yet. That sounds amazing. I think it'd be really good with ice cream. And my dear friend Andrew Sherwin, who is one of the co-hosts of the PETM podcast, is in the chat.
Hey, Andrew.
He is a lot of fun. I got to hang out with him in Atlanta when I was there during the summer. And hello, Fanside. Welcome to the show. This is our first official show, so still figuring it out.
Gotta get used to it. It's definitely a learning curve. It's a little different.
Especially knowing people are actually watching instead of like when we're just recording and we're like, oh, that was awkward, but it's fine. We'll edit it out. Nah, there's none of that. My kids are running around. My dogs are eating dinner. So there's noise. It's okay. It's fine. It's real life. So that's how it is. So.
Okay, Matthew. So now that it's been a little while since the Pit Lizard article.
Yes.
And the responses to the Pit Lizard article, and everything has like settled down. What are your feelings on it?
Well, my first feeling is that it was very unfortunate how knee-jerk the reactions were to it. I was very beyond grateful is not even the right word for it. Just knocked over with a feather about how many people chose to read it and share it and talk about it. More people read that than have read anything I've ever written combined, which may not be all that many people, but still it felt pretty cool to have that. The problem with that, whenever you write something that's consumed by a relatively large amount of people, is there's a lot of jumping to conclusions. People who may not even have read the article, they just read the headline and maybe the introductory paragraph, or maybe just heard a Cliff Notes version of someone who didn't have very good reading comprehension skills. And it's people thinking that I was attacking females in the pit area. And which couldn't have been further from the truth. At least that was the message I was trying to convey, is that yes, pit lizards really are a thing. And I guess, side note, if you're not familiar with the term, a pit lizard is the term for a groupie in racing. Someone who scours the pit area chasing sexual relationships with drivers, typically women chasing men, but that's just the old world expression for it. And the whole thesis of my article was that was just not the case. While that does exist, most of the females in the pit area are either, a spouse that are just, doing the spouse thing, or they're, more importantly, they're running for tires, they're buying parts, they're working on the damn car, they built the engine, sometimes they're doing scoring things, all sorts of stuff like that. It's just there were people that really didn't get what I was trying to say, and that was the unfortunate part.
Yeah, I think there was some of that with my article on female fans and how they should be taken seriously too. I think it's any time that like an article gains just like a little bit of traction, there's always that one person who just doesn't get it.
Yeah.
Right.
And, or they just want to argue for arguing.
Yes. And kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
Well, it also comes down to, does someone's product think that their bottom line is going to be affected by it? Because the big one for us is I managed to interview a Miss Speedway, if you will, a victory lane person, traditionally a young, attractive woman that stands in victory lane to take photos. Yeah. And this person, she bore it all out for me. She said everything, including the stuff that her employer didn't want to hear about drivers groping her in victory lane and stuff like that.
Oh, that is rough.
Yeah, and she didn't want to name the people who did it, but she was fine going on the record, at least at the time, saying that the stuff happened. And this is while she is still the Miss Speedway of this racetrack. And once we got some traction on the article, I got a very unfortunate phone call from this person saying that the racetrack was threatening to remove her status, her job as the Miss Speedway, if the article wasn't, take down the article or we're taking away your title.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
But that has nothing to do with that. Well, I guess because she gave you the information. Rough.
The main problem is this particular racetrack is trying to pride itself on being the next great thing, and they really have this strong PR presence. And I guess, this sort of thing was going to generate some bad notion of them. But to me, it told me they were more worried about making sure it didn't get public than actually correcting the issue.
Right.
So, yeah, I feel that we did the only thing we could have done from ToBen.com standpoint is we removed her portion from the article. We put a little disclaimer at the top saying that, we did, the article may look a little patchy because we had to take out pretty much the whole middle of the thing. But we did have everyone's consent at the time, and oh well. But that kind of sucked. But
such is life, she kind of should have, I guess, hindsight's 2020, but giving you that information, kind of, even though not naming names could get her, figured out pretty easily. Follow the breadcrumbs.
Right, it said in the article, this person, her name, Speedway she works for, it was all there. It was just, there wasn't even a breadcrumb. It was just out there in the open.
Yeah.
And we really, being self-critical as a writer, I should have insisted on making it anonymous. I should have had the forthright knowledge to say, someone's going to be upset about this. Maybe we should take your name out of it.
Change the names, like make them.
Yeah, and that's what we did for everyone else. All the drivers, of course, that were talking about, their pussy chasing expeditions. They certainly wanted to have their names removed, and we did. Yeah, so we did that. Of course,
that are in relationships or married, because
right.
Not naming names, but we've heard. Everyone's heard things. Yeah. So. It's a drama. It's like a NASCAR soap opera back there.
It was a good learning experience, at least.
Yeah.
Well,
that was definitely an interesting article.
there was some extreme drama during him writing the article and the release of the article with some late model drivers and a cheating scandal, and it was
It was big.
Well, that was what kind of pushed us to finish the article. I had the idea floating around forever to, not necessarily about pit lizards, but my idea was I want to know the gritty side of racing, the part that you don't hear about. It wasn't going to be just about sex. I had a couple of drivers in mind who were no longer in racing that were willing to actually, hopefully, speak on the record. And I want to hear more about the dark things no one ever wants to talk about. Like, did Aaron Fike really finish 5th at Dover while high on heroin? That kind of thing. Maybe that was AJ. I don't have a real
I didn't know that one. So I
don't want to accuse anyone of that. I do not have knowledge of it, but there is some sort of story about that this person finished 5th at Dover while high on heroin, then got arrested at Six Flags like 3 hours later or something crazy like that.
Very interesting.
Six Flags is a great place in Largo. If anybody's listening from Maryland who's never went to Six Flags in Largo, it's a great place, by the way.
Fun fact. Not so much fun at when you're high on heroin, but
it's great. It's a great place when you're strung out on heroin.
I mean,
the Yelp review, 5 stars.
I could see where it would be fun to get on some of those rides a little intoxicated, after drinking.
Drinking, no drugs here, guys. Yeah, drugs are bad, okay? Drinking, on the other hand, is delicious. Although if you don't do that, that's cool. Like, no judgments. I love everyone. That's my PSA for the moment. So, all right, Matthew, what are you looking forward to this season the most? What race?
Probably Bristol Dirt, just because of how Dirt back in Cup is pretty, or actually top level of NASCAR. Shouldn't even say Cup, but that's gonna be pretty exciting. Extra road courses. That's the whole thing. It's not. I don't know if there's even one date that I could say is going to be extra special to me. I'm all in. I'm in for the long haul. Usually, pre-COVID especially, I had the races I was definitely going to watch, and then if I was available, I would consider the other ones. But now it seems like it's all going to be appointment television this year.
It's true. I'm excited about a lot. I'm excited about Nashville. I think we're going. I can't say for sure because my in-laws live in Nashville. They're literally 30 minutes away, which was awesome because when we went to Champions Week the year before, now I can't believe it's already been a whole year. 2020 seems like just not a waste of a year, because I always say it was an awful year, but there's a lot of good that came from it. You got to look for the silver linings, like we always say. But yeah, I'm dying to go check that out. I think it's going to be awesome. And looks like John said he's looking forward to Road America. That's going to be fun. I love the road courses too, so I'm excited about that. Yeah.
I wasn't a huge fan of road courses until last year.
Really?
Why? It just so much more exciting last year. I don't know if it was we were all bored to tears with COVID and any racing was going to be happy. I'm not sure. But I always think they were kind of like, eh. But last year's road courses, it really brought the excitement. I've not been that excited about road courses before, but this year I'm really looking forward to them.
Deb, did you watch the old Nationwide era races that were like Montreal, Mid-Ohio, and those? That was considered kind of how NASCAR fixed road course racing, was in the Busch Nationwide Xfinity Series with those tracks the Cup Series didn't go to.
I feel like I did, but it's been a minute, so
memory's a little fuzzy.
I feel like I definitely remember Montreal for some reason.
Yeah, Montreal was fantastic because it had a lot of unique drivers, and you had people like Jacques Villeneuve driving perfect Penske race cars, driving them just full speed into other people, and it was some of the greatest racing I've ever seen. So I'm hoping for more of that. But that sort of thing is part of what started this road course renaissance, and NASCAR has always had a healthy road course history, but that stuff in the early 2010s, I think, really set it forward to now, where it's hopefully Gonna start seeing that at the cup level now.
It would be fun. I think the Daytona road course was pretty exciting this year.
Why does everyone hate that race, by the way?
I don't know, because I loved it.
Yeah, I remember having a great time watching that. The lightning sucked.
The Xfinity race was awesome.
Yeah.
I mean,
the pouring down
carnage, but like, yes, the pouring down, the rain, and like it was like almost like every lap there was something going on, and it was just like, whoa. And then you get them, like, the best for me is like the guys in the booth when they get excited and they're like, whoa, they like forget, not that they forget, but they get into it and they get all excited. Then another crash happens and they're like, whoa, whoa, whoa. It makes you feel like you're there with them. Like I've even always said, like, I like Dale in the booth a lot because it feels like you're watching a race in his living room. And like he's reacting the way he would be reacting if he was at home watching it himself, like yelling at the TV or getting excited. And I just love the energy, and nothing against, the guys in Fox. They have their own thing going, but I love feeling like the reactions I have at home when I'm like, oh no, or I'm like, oh God, did you see that? And they like feel the same way. It kind of makes you feel like, yeah.
Yeah, at least NBC's is genuine. The Fox overreactions seem to be staged, especially with Clint Boyer this year. That's going to be rough, man.
It'll be fun.
It's either going to be hilarious or a dumpster fire. There's not going to be an in between there.
I think it's going to be a hilarious dumpster fire.
Yeah, it's going to be like the early years of Daryl Waltrip, where it's corn pone and howdy y'all until he finds his groove.
I think the thing is, like, with Clint is he gives 0 Fs, and I mean he does, but in a way he doesn't. He's himself, and if you don't like him, he's like, whatever, that's you, that's not me. And yeah, maybe some of the antics can be exaggerated for, reaction, but I think genuinely he should be pretty fun. I guess we'll wait and see. Is he going to be someone who stays focused on the race or goes off on a tangent or just starts talking over people? Who knows? We'll see. But him and Jeff, we'll see how that plays out. Fingers crossed.
So talking about TV networks, Matthew is working on a little something about Speed, the old Speed channel.
I miss Speed. That's the best.
Miss Speed. I miss the race day, like the college game day thing, but at the track.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Loved that. Loved going to it
when
it was a thing. You got, you got your little hard hats, and like they made signs. You could say "Hi, Mom" on a sign. Like it was super cool.
Yeah,
like,
it was Home Depot that did that, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I remember every time like we would be at a track, it would be like, oh, we gotta go stop by race day, and because you never knew who was gonna be there. I mean, it was awesome. I miss that. I miss having that at the track where you can like go driver talk. There's not a whole lot of that type of thing, especially now this year or this past year. There's not a whole lot of that. So it was really fun. I loved when they had that. John also misses Speed Channel, so we're all not the only ones with
RIP Speed.
Yeah.
Well,
and thank you, Christian, by the way. I'm sorry for saying that. I hope it gets cleared out so I can go. If it gets cleared out and we're cleared for NASCAR Champions Week, Deb, you're going with me. I don't care if my husband doesn't go. You and I are going.
That's an excuse for me to buy some sort of pretty fancy dress.
Right? I went to David's bridal last year, and you know what's funny? One of the dresses, I was torn between 2 dresses. One was this like gold, sparkly. I know Matthew's so excited to hear about dresses. It's like kind of like fitted, but then at the waist it like poofed out, gold glittery dress. I almost bought it, and one of the spouses wore it on the red carpet, and I was like, "That's the dress I almost got." But anyway, the dress I had, I loved. It was great. I was super excited. And I met another girl who had the same dress, and she was wasted. And she was like, oh my God, dress buddy. I was like, hi. We took a picture on her phone. I never saw her again. But anyway, yes, Champions Week is amazing. I always tell everyone, if you can go, go. It is worth it. Best time ever. Thank you for coming.
Andrew, from PETM said, been on the old TV a couple times on race day. Same. I stood at one point in Martinsville for like 2 hours in the rain to be on TV when Jeff Gordon walked by so that I could get like an autograph or a picture or something. I forget what I was doing.
Yeah.
And you see me for like a brief 5 seconds.
That's my hair.
Yeah. Look, Ma, I made it. Fine.
That reminds me of like for me was back in the day. Here I'm going to show my age. The TRL. Everyone would go outside TRL in Times Square. When I lived in New York, it was like, woo, TRL. I remember being there when Cisco was there one day, and I was like, OMG, there's Cisco. People watching right now probably like, who is Cisco? If you don't know who Cisco is, Google Thong Song. You're welcome, and I apologize at the same time. Andrew said, we were just being drunk race fans. I mean, that's a good way to get on TV too. You're always fun, unless you're like, it's a fine line between being like drunk and fun and like, wow, that guy's obnoxious. Get him out of here. So it depends.
I was just going to say one of those weird, obnoxious race fans that I've seen on TV, but in case they're watching, I'm not going to. Sorry.
I like it.
So I was going to talk about Talladega, but we'll just not go there.
I need to go to Talladega. I need to go step.
Same.
So you're all are talking about liking the trackside show or whatever it was called. The problem is, part of the thesis of my Speed article is that show really didn't have anything to do with the network. It just happened to be on that. In fact, if memory serves, Fox Sports had a very similar show that ran in the late 90s, and it was pretty much the same thing. It may not have had all the crowd interaction, but it was still just, the 4 hours before the race of a bunch of talking heads. And I think NASCAR being in the golden age that it was back then, it really didn't matter about the network. And I think Speed Channel gets way too much credit for being part of the golden age when it was, because it started out as Speed Vision in the late 90s.
Oh my God, I remember that. I remember Speed Vision, but I watched it for the drag racing because, again,
sure,
those who've listened before, I got my start with, motorsports and stuff by being introduced to drag racing, street racing, all that stuff. So I watched those events. Occasionally would catch a NASCAR race, but again, it wasn't exciting to me. I know there's people out there that are like, the old way of racing, the no stages was so exciting. But I'm like, I have watched my dad put it on specifically to take a nap. And he just, even my husband says his dad would fall asleep watching it. And he's a diehard NASCAR fan. Like, no offense to those who loved that style of race at all. It's just, I think stage racing adds a lot of excitement. But anyway, sorry, continue.
No, you're fine, and it's a great point, because Speed Vision was a niche or niche, whatever the right pronunciation is, network for all types of racing. It covered as much NASCAR as it could for being a basic cable network without a lot of access to it. They showed a lot of the really old, I think it was called Car and Track, was like a weekly update show they ran in the 70s about NASCAR at the time, and that got me into liking old NASCAR. But anyway, it would show that. It would show swamp buggy racing, dirt track racing, all of that good stuff. Even just info, even their infomercials were usually about like some.
Yeah, it was some product for racing.
Right, and all sorts of car shows and stuff like that. It was a lot of good fun. And then Fox bought the network in 2001, the same year they started doing NASCAR coverage, of course. And so it became kind of the NASCAR network, and that was both very good in that you got a lot of excellent quality programming, like the trackside shows and the inside Winston Cup shows and all that kind of thing that we talk about in the article. It was all great, but it didn't really know where it was going to go, because it lost that niche stuff. It kept the NASCAR stuff going, but then what did they do with the rest of the hours of the day? And really, they effed it up. They really didn't know who they were appealing to, because they would show reruns of Pimp My Ride. They would show,
my God.
which is it's a good show. It's all in good fun, but it's not.
If you watch it for the sole purpose of just the god awful tackiness, and you expect, like all the memes. Have you seen some of the Pimp My Ride memes that came out like years ago? It's Like someone like, yo, I heard you like goldfish, so I put a goldfish tank inside you with goldfish and a bag of goldfish into this and that and a goldfish cup with goldfish, on your hood, and like just the stuff they would do. They're like, yo, I'm gonna do this with so and so. He's a fan of football, so we're gonna make the car the shape of a football. We're gonna paint it like a football and put football in the seats. Then we're gonna put football on TV, and then we're gonna put a football steering wheel. Like, if you guys have never seen Pimp My Ride, do yourselves a favor, watch a couple episodes. It's ridiculous. I promise you, it's going to be the stupidest show you watch, but it's funny.
And rapper Exhibit was a very entertaining host.
Yeah, he was great. Yeah. I do love me some Exhibit. I mean,
but even that, they had all the rip-off shows of Pimp My Ride that Speed would actually, I guess, produce themselves, and they would really be awful. It wasn't always about like fixing up other people's cars. It would be like a reality show about a shop. I remember it was called Custom Exotics or something like that.
Yes.
I remember they had some
customs, I think, maybe.
Some swarthy guy named Castro ran the shop, and he was just a very annoying personality.
The polarizing personalities they would put on TV, it's like you can tell after a while, like there's a specific type of person that they cast to be on these shows. And that goes for not only the hosts and the people that are participating, but also like the regular guys that the car gets fixed up, or like the Pimp My Ride. It's always like some nerdy, dorky kid who shows up to school with his pimped out car, and everyone pretends to be excited and impressed. In reality, it's like, okay.
And most of their shop personalities were cheap ripoffs of Jesse James, who was, with Monster Garage was the popular thing at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But then even the good programming that people liked, like everyone likes Pinks.
Yes, that was my show. That was it. The one I started watching. It got kind of tacky towards later in the year.
Well, they ran it under the ground. It was way overexposed because you had the basic show, which was just two cars racing implied for the title of the car. But then you had Pinks All Out, which is a really good show because it was like watching a regular drag event but with some extra stuff. And they had like Pinks All Outtakes, which I don't even know what that was about, and they had some like old burnout 80s metal singer doing like custom voiceovers during the bumps to commercial. It was just really weird.
This doesn't work. They actually had, fun fact, they had our local drag strip is Orlando Speed World, where I probably literally grew up spending my entire teen years from like 13 and up. So they shot a couple episodes of Pinks there. One of my best friends, his friend raced and he won, but he didn't actually get the car. There's a very fine print. Like you have to like hit all these marks to actually win the other person's car. So which makes sense because they're not just going to give over your car that easily. But it's kind of I was like bummed out when I found out it wasn't as like intense and dramatic as they make it seem on TV. And that was when I first like realized, I was like, oh, TV's fake, man.
I'm actually surprised that there were conditions to meet. I figured it was just staged. It was like, if they won, they just got a little bit more prize money. But he got like a here's your going away prize. I think he got like $1,000, which is still cool. But the stuff they show on TV, it's like, oh, you won the car, and then they're like, and when cameras cut, it's like, actually, no, here, take your car, go home. Okay, bye. Right. So what, you being a drag racing aficionado, what did you think of the host, the bald guy?
I thought he was okay, but he was a little, I feel like every host has a personality, and this guy was a little
megalomaniac.
Yeah, he was way too much personality. It's like, you need personality. You want to be dramatic. You want to get people, but like the whole.
All right, drop the hands, man.
So over dramatic. It's like, just let the Christmas tree do its job. That's what it's there for. We don't need you. You know what those people do? The flag man, which is usually chicks, it's for street racing when you don't have the tree to watch and start. But that guy had to point, and they always had these denim jeans and a black T-shirt. He was so dramatic, and it was just like.
Oh, and that's what bugged me when they started doing the extra shows. Because at least the base Pinks show was a street racing novelty-esque type of thing. But the ones where they're doing entire weekend-long drag meets, and he's insisting on doing the hands thing while the Christmas tree is also working.
It's always like so just you have to hit them so hard. It was.
How can you do that for 12 hours?
Yes, I was like. Ugh. make it stop. Drag racing's not that dramatic until you start getting to the top fuel dragsters and the guys start running the 5s and the 6s. Anyway, that's a whole nother subject. I can maybe one day we'll do a show about drag racing and I can bring out some of my stories. I'm not that fast. I've never gone that fast. But anyway.
I think that'd be a good idea. Drag racing doesn't have enough podcasting. That's good.
So back to Deb, because I just took over the last 10 minutes.
No, it's fine. So I'm still on the Pimp My Ride thing, and I'm wondering how many people still actually have.
That's a good question.
Oh, people that still own the pimped out rides?
Yeah.
I feel like
what do you use that for now?
I wonder. Let's Google. Let's find
That's
out.
Google. Google knows everything.
The Google. Hey, Siri. She doesn't even want to talk to me. She's not responding. Fine. I'll Google it myself. Anyway.
While you're Googling, I'll read some of these comments. Eric Wolf says, hi, ladies and Matt. I think that Eric is Breland.
Is it Brylan's picks? Right?
Breland or Brylan. I'm not sure. Eric, if you're still on, please tell us which way it is. We are going to have her on before Daytona and talk to her about how she got started doing her pick videos, and maybe she'll give us some picks for Daytona. Christian says, I wish the stages wouldn't end under caution because that would make racing exciting and they should keep racing after the end of 8 stages. I agree. I think the cautions are mainly for longer TV breaks and things like that.
I thought they did it because they wanted to design pit stops around it.
Well, they didn't do a good job if that was the case.
No, yeah, and to everyone's point, yes, they should just award the points 3 times a race and just not bother stopping it. But I don't know. I don't know the answer to that.
Y'all just Google Pimp My Ride cars. I don't know how well this is going to show up because of the lighting, but there's an entire YouTube thing of all these cars. Apparently in 2019, so I bought an abandoned Pimp My Ride minivan, and it is this god awful pink and purple, just these.
Oh, can somebody find me one? I want one.
No, you don't.
I want one with the TV in it.
There was one they put fish tank. Why would watch the race at home? Why would you?
No, taking it for tailgating purposes.
Oh, okay. Well, then you do what people do for NASCAR, and they buy an old abandoned school bus and turn it into a party bus.
I couldn't drive a school bus. I can barely drive my Jeep, let alone a school bus, Chrissy. I mean,
what makes you think you're going to buy a Pimp My Ride van?
And remember, the resale values on those were awful because, if I remember correctly, Pimp My Ride worked on a time constraint, a lot like the Extreme Makeover Home Edition stuff. They really have
one of those shows. Sorry,
there's a lot of and those things were cool, but they have to cut a lot of corners to do it so fast, and especially when you're talking about a car.
Yeah,
a TV in a car looks nice and might work for 5 minutes, but they probably just have a really big. They probably just attach a wire to the battery and
or an extension cord that you couldn't see.
Right, it's just the car is probably going to be a big pain in the ass.
So Eric commented and said he's still here, and also drag racing fans, yay! And it's Brylan, like Brian, which is fun fact. My brother's name is Brian. I say that too much. Anyway, so Brylan, that's cute.
I like that.
That's really cute. Yeah, they filmed a Extreme Makeover episode in Cocoa, which is like Cocoa Itch. It's like 20 minutes north of here, and I wanted to. It was posted. I forget how I found it. I applied to be on the show, and I showed up, and it was 2 a.m. My shift was 2 a.m. We parked somewhere. We got bussed out to this house. It was freezing cold because it was January or February, and I was part of the people who poured concrete and cleaned trash from the house. And from what it took them about 4 or 5 days, if I remember correctly. And I think they fared a little better than the Pimp My Ride cars, but I do agree that I think there's a lot of corners that are cut and things that appear like they're working on TV, but then when the cameras are off and everyone's gone, it's you're just holding.
So if you don't mind me asking, were you doing it as a TV venture? Were you doing it as a job? Was it a volunteerism thing?
It was totally volunteer. I didn't get paid. if I was on camera, it was one of those like zoom out fast motion where they show people quickly like doing things super fast. And I just did it because I just thought it was a really cool thing to do, to be like, hey, I participated in Extreme Makeover. I wasn't like, oh, I'm gonna go be on TV and be famous. It was just like, that's cool. I could say I was there.
Right.
And I had a t-shirt. And now that I think about it, I don't know what happened to that t-shirt. I don't know if I threw it out, if it got lost, if my dad has it. I think my dad has it. I don't know. Anyway, side story.
So
things you learn.
Speaking of random TV shows, did either one of you see the Great Christmas Lights competition?
The Christmas
I
light.
think it was on ABC.
Yeah, the Great
No.
Christmas Light Fight. I love that show. It's
So
much fun.
the person who won this year
Yeah,
it's a 15-20 minute drive from my house.
that's so
We
cool.
go there and watch his Christmas lights all the time. He's really great.
That's cool.
Yeah,
I
so
like
there's
that show because it's like you can tell that that's actually real. I mean, like you can't fake
Yeah.
Christmas lights, and these people are legit fanatics.
yeah, he put so much work into those Christmas lights. It's insane.
Yeah.
Like he put telephone poles in his yard that don't do anything to hold the Christmas decorations up. Crazy.
Christmas. Hashtag Christmas AF.
Yeah.
So back to NASCAR.
Sorry, guys. Sorry.
Sharp
guys.
left turn. So for anyone who's actually still paying attention in the chat, since we went off so far, what races are you guys looking forward to? Or comment, anyone who comments. We're still trying to figure out how to make sure this gets on our channel. And again, we like to bring up bold predictions. Yesterday we talked some bold predictions. Matthew, what's one of your bold predictions for this year?
Yeah, one of my bold predictions.
You always have good predictions, so don't even pretend like you're searching for
okay,
one.
so I think I think
Just kidding.
the new teams are almost all gonna struggle except for I can't see the 2311 23XI 2311. I see them working out just because they have so much positive mojo behind them. I don't know if they're going to win races. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. I mean, if they sneak into a win, of course they'll make the playoffs. But I think it's going to be really good, and there's going to be a lot of strong top 20 wins. And what the haters are going to feast on, that we as proper NASCAR fans are going to have to do a lot of
Proper. Sorry,
proper.
did you put your pinky up when you said that?
I actually did, yeah. What we're going to have to do properly is make sure that we remind people that brand new race teams really suck their first year normally. Red
they
Bull
don't typically do well.
Like if I were Red Bull Racing, they have more money than Jesus, and in F1 you can just kind of buy a team and go into winning pretty quick. For whatever reason, you can't really do that in NASCAR. They threw a lot of money at it, and they had to replace drivers because AJ Allmendinger sucked so hard. They had to get Mike Skinner out of retirement just to drive one of the Red Bull cars. And, Brian Vickers, I think, got a top 10 in his.
Deb ran away.
And it was like a miracle. But all that is to say.
Speaking of AJ Allmendinger and Red Bull.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
I was doing some COVID and this was in my closet, and I don't remember where I got it from. I don't remember how this became my possession.
But it's yours. Surprise.
It's an Allmendinger Red Bull car.
I do kind of hope he signed that while Mike Skinner was driving the car for him.
I don't know. I don't remember this. All I remembered, I thought it was a Scott Speed diecast. And then I was in my closet cleaning, and I was like trying to do this wall.
What kind of an appropriate name is Scott Speed for a race car driver, by the way?
I miss him.
My dad, to this day, always asks me, is that Lake Speed's son?
Should be. So John wants to know, define proper for proper NASCAR fan.
Well, a proper NASCAR fan would not, I mean, is this someone that, it's a nice way of saying not a racist asshole, which is really what a lot of improper NASCAR fans have been the last year. At least they've exposed themselves as such in 2020. And that's going to be, that's going to be the thing with this new team.
Yeah.
Any struggle, just like any struggle with the mid-level Richard Petty type team, is going to be, people want Bubba to fail just as much as other people want Bubba to succeed. And so any little problem, there's going to be really stupid mechanical issues that come up that you'll see the Facebook posts about saying that Bubba can't keep a car together, or some accident
Even
at
though
Talladega.
he's not the one that puts the car together, they're gonna be like, Bubba sucks. Like,
well, and while racism of course is prevalent, that's also with anybody you want to hate. The rear wheels fly off of Kyle Busch's car and he gets blamed for it too. So
right. Yeah. Chase gets stuck in a wreck and they're like, Chase is overrated.
Right.
His engine blew. He sucks.
Or they blame the crew chief.
Alan Gustafson should be fired because he made him take a pit when he didn't know it was going to happen. Anyway.
But yeah, so I think
you stick with your team or you don't. And that just goes for any team. You have a driver, you have a team, you're there for the good, you're there for the bad. And if you're not there for the bad, you're not a fan.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know how bold it is to say, but I think Kyle Larson's going to win a race.
I can see that.
I mean, and there's no reason he shouldn't. He's certainly motivated. The team is going to be motivated to get extra sponsorship, whether he's HendrickCars.com this entire year or not. It's going to depend a lot on whether he can win. It'd be a real easy one to say that he'd win at the Bristol Dirt Race, but
I was just thinking that.
Yeah, and he'd certainly be up there, but he may win some unique race that no one saw. Hell, he might even win one of the road course races. Everyone's got Chase Elliott pegged in for winning all of them, but
what if Kyle Larson wins the 500?
I mean, that'd be great. I mean, obviously, you can never count a Hendrick car out of winning any race, but that'd be fantastic if he won the 500. Nice, fantastic and also horrible at the same time, though.
Nice. It's nice hearing the talk about Hendrick because a few years ago they were not good when they were figuring out the Camaros.
Yeah, the
and
new
now
Camaro.
They're finally at that point where they've got their stuff together. Speaking of Hendrick, did we see the photo leak of the Alex Bowman Ally racing car? What do you guys think?
And I saw that off of Eric's Twitter actually, because he showed Brylan, and I love it. I think that it's beautiful. I really like all the purple because my favorite color is purple, and I'm like, I like that.
I like that they took some of the yellow out and left it more of the white, purple, and pink. I think it looks good.
I think it gives him his own identity too, a little bit away from the Jimmy Johnson Ally schemes. It gives him just a little bit of an edge to where you're like, okay, that's a different car. Yeah.
Similar, but different.
So I have a question for you guys while it's on my mind. So John Hunter Nemechek's going to be in the Truck Series and doing so while leaving a decent-ish car after having a pretty good rookie year. In your opinion, how many wins does he have to make it look like it was a good move to go down 2 levels and do what he did?
3 or 4.
I'm gonna say I don't know necessarily if it's wins, but I think it's an overall performance thing.
Yeah, like I think if he's in the Final Four for a championship, then okay, great move. Or even okay, good move, because then he can be, as long as he's competitive, I think it's a good move, because there's so many times that anybody can get to Cup and be in a subpar ride that's not very competitive and get no recognition, drive around, no media attention, no hype, no getting fans, because you're just there. You're not seen on TV a whole lot. Yeah, you might have a great social media presence, but social media presence only gets you so far. So I think that if he can go and he can get to either the round of 8 or the round of 4 in a championship competition, I think that that's a good move for him then.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I think that's kind of interesting because I just to play devil's advocate, if he has, I don't know how close you guys watch the Truck series, so forgive me, but if he has a Matt Crafton-ish year where he doesn't win any races but just kind of hangs around, does the lurking thing,
and
that's
then
all
suddenly wins.
right, and that's all well and good for a veteran. I don't think that's going to work for a guy like him. He has to have, just in my opinion, I think he's got to have a Ron Hornaday like year. Otherwise, it's good because he was doing really because he could do good in his dad's truck. He won a couple of races and did well in the playoffs. He needs to do way better than that in the real deal truck for this to, because if he can do that, then he can get Toyota to foot the bill for however many years ahead of him. And if that means another Gibbs car, if that means a Jordan car or whatever, that could be it. But I think that's going to take some serious wins to do that. But
I think if he can outperform his Cup performances, if he can show that he's stronger in trucks than he was in Cup, again, like I said, consistency, wins would be great. Yes, I think if he can have a strong, mostly top 10s, enough top 5s, get in the playoffs maybe with points and get some critical wins at important races during the playoffs, I think that he might show that he has promise. I don't think he's going to knock it out of the park his first year, but I think if he can show consistency and improvement and that he fares better in the trucks than he does in the Cup car, I think it will be a good move because you can always improve. Whereas in Cup, it's, it's really tough out there, but in the trucks, I think it's you're driving a completely different vehicle, completely different feel. It's a whole nother monster. And that type of mastery is, in my opinion, it's like this. So I think if he can show that he overall does better, that's just my opinion. So we'll see.
John
makes
said,
sense.
Go ahead, Matthew. Sorry.
No, just saying that makes good sense.
John said that he made a good move. He did good in subpar equipment, which is, I think that's what he's saying is subpar equipment. Yeah, I think so. I think that any chance that you can be competitive, you're going to have to take it because the nature of the beast is there's not enough rides for good drivers. There's not enough. It's like playing musical chairs. You've got some great people
it's true.
who have rides. You've got some people who have sponsorship, who has great rides. So I feel like anytime that you, as a driver, at least in my opinion, I would have to think, okay, if I go down a series, am I going to be able to be competitive? Because ultimately that's what they want to be. They want to win races. They don't want to ride around and compete 25th.
Yeah.
They want to win. They wouldn't be racing professionally.
There are drivers. Yeah, there's drivers that have moved up to Cup and shown that they're great, but they're just not as competitive or they can't keep up with some of the talent in the Cup. And that's not saying those people are not talented. That's just saying they do better in different equipment. Like you mentioned yesterday, Justin Allgaier, I think he could have had a better opportunity in Cup and under different circumstances, but he just shows that he's better in Xfinity. There are drivers that have Matt Crafton, he's better in trucks. I mean, you've seen them go up and try, and then they're just kind of like, you know what? No, I'm good. I'm comfortable here. I'm good here. And that doesn't mean they're bad drivers or they're not good enough. That just means this is what they want to do, and that's where they're better. And some drivers are better off in different series than they are. I know the end goal is to make it to Cup, but making it to Cup isn't necessarily the best for everyone.
Yeah. Like, would you, if you were a driver, would you rather win championships in Xfinity under driving for somebody like Junior Motorsports? Or do you want to be in Cup and race with somebody like BK?
Yeah. I'll take championships, and once in a while, if they need to fill in for a Cup race, because sometimes they'll throw people in a car when they need drivers, when they need bodies, I'll take that just for the experience and to get to say I raced in Cup. But if I'm better in Xfinity, I'll take Xfinity all day. Give me those championships. At the end of the day, it's all about working and making money, right? I mean, cash those checks and also where you're comfortable and where you're best. So.
Yeah, it's very interesting how I'm probably in the minority. I would take the cup ride. It just in those scenarios, like if you were asking me if it was a BK or compete for an Xfinity championship, I would drive the cup car 99 times out of 100, as long as the checks cleared and it wasn't like a major fraud thing. Which with teams like BK, you never know. But
well, they are.
I used to pay not to offend any lower tier.
No, not at all.
Because
but that's the thing.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I mean,
so why though? Why would you run around 30th?
It's just my mentality is more about being at the highest level you can be at. I don't know. I feel that it's not that it's a bad move for people who go down to Xfinity. I think Justin Allgaier did what was best for him to go down to Xfinity. But if it were me, I'd still be driving the Branch 51 for whatever old Turner Motorsports copy would be left over. It's just it would take so much to get me out of Cup if I was there. The inverse of that, if I was winning Xfinity championships and you were to then offer me a crappy Cup ride, I would probably say no. But if you just today put me in a Cup car that was really bad, but that after a year of that then would offer me a good Xfinity car, I would probably still stay in the Cup car. It's just kind of the way I think about that, because if I get rushed up too fast but I can still stay up there, there's no reason that I would leave that unless there was some sort of money issue that I had to consider.
So here's my thing. What if you get pushed up and you're in a Cup ride and you're like, yay, I'm in Cup and this is where I want to be, which is great, but you're in, the back half of the field, you're just kind of one of the numbers on the track, but you're in Cup, so you're excited. But the thing is, if you're underperforming or you're in a team or a car that's not necessarily doing well, say they only give you a 1 or 2 year contract, and then if you can't perform and you don't go down to Xfinity, you're out. You're not a NASCAR driver anymore. So in your opinion, if you were given the choice to stay in Cup for 1 or 2 years and give it your best, or hey, you know what, Xfinity for longer, when you look at it that way, because some of the back of the field drivers, so to speak, don't always get to stay as long as, of course, the top drivers. So
yeah, I mean, in that circumstance, of course, because you're really not you wouldn't be giving me an option in that case, because you're basically saying get fired now and make no money, or get fired in 5 years and make some money. That would be, I'd have to take that option. I don't know. It's a hard deal. I don't think in a way of I'm always going to choose the highest finishing on the grid. I'm not going to race in the series just because I can finish higher there. There's going to be some other things to consider, but it's all academic, because NASCAR is not a meritocracy as much as it should be.
Like when you look at someone like Daniel Suarez, he was great in Xfinity and then moved up to Cup, and he was in Joe Gibbs, and then went to Chip Ganassi, and then it was like meh. Or was it
Stewart Haas? But
Haas, that's what I meant. Sorry.
No, you're fine. He got screwed so many times though, because he was supposed to be in Xfinity for another year or so. Carl Edwards retired out of nowhere. Then Carl Edwards, the 19 cars crew chief, retired or quit after like 5 races or something like that. It was never going to work out. Maybe he wasn't the best for that car, but then he got shuffled around to Stewart Haas, and then the next nepotism role had to be filled, and it was time for Cole Custer to get in the car.
Right. And there's a lot of that shuffling going on too. Yeah. You could also look at Eric Jones too, same type of thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. He's getting slowly phased out. Whereas, and these are people who had promising careers once upon a time, but I think that whole getting moved up too fast thing is kind of it could be a blessing and a curse. So
Andrew Sherwin says crappy cup car ride with guaranteed entry. That's a $300,000 job.
Right. And I would take that. I don't care how bad my credibility would suffer for that, how much I get made fun of as a back marker and all that sort of thing. If you can insure me $300,000 and a cup ride, I would take that over, $200,000 and a Kaulig style Xfinity car. It's just the money and the level means more to me than the potential wins in that situation.
And that's what makes the whole NASCAR thing interesting, is that everybody feels differently. Everybody has those different thoughts. Whereas like someone like you would take cup any way that they can. And other people are like, well, how can I find the most successful way to be in NASCAR? And I'm not saying that's not successful. That came out wrong. But you know what I'm saying? Like,
and there's people that think like me that I think do exist. Like anyone who's ever driven for Jay Robinson or Rick Ware or Carl Long, they don't think they're there because they all could do better in other teams. Timmy Hill is considered, I think they did a driver's poll and they said who does the best in the equipment they had, and it was a tie between Kevin Harvick and Timmy Hill.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And
those are polar opposites.
Yeah.
Right.
Love me some Timmy Hill though. Love me a Maryland boy.
Love Timmy Hill.
Yeah. But that's the thing. He's the guy, I think, I don't want to speak for him, but I think he cares more about being in the show than being in the best car to be in the show.
Yeah. See, I'm too competitive by nature. So to be back in the back driving would kill me. I would be so angry that, either the equipment's not good enough or it's old chassis or, whatever. That would kill me. And to know that, potentially I could go down to Xfinity, have a high tier ride in Xfinity and actually compete for wins and championships. That's where, like, it just comes down to your personality. Like, I am very, very competitive by nature.
Same. So, Aquarius things.
Yeah, Aquarius things.
Well, how do you think JJ Yaley feels?
I don't know. We should ask him.
I mean, because that would be the very candid thing I'd want to ask him, because he certainly seems to have a mentality of sticking around, because he came in as the chosen one. He was going to be the next Tony Stewart. He won a Triple Crown in USAC, and then he was in the 11 FedEx Gibbs car, and just to imagine in today's context that the 11 FedEx Gibbs car was failing to make races,
right?
When Yaley came up, I remember them having to slap FedEx on Bobby Labonte's car because they couldn't make the Charlotte 600 or whatever. So anyway, and then he went over to Hall of Fame racing and ruined that team. So he killed two perfectly good race teams, and yet he's still racing in Cup almost every week now. So there's got to be a mentality that the competitiveness is one thing, because he's obviously got that to be as good as he was in dirt and that sort of thing. But there's got to be a different side to him to accept the kind of role that he was given, and he's going to have to slum it in with JGL for a while, and then whatever he's got going on now.
That's true. That's a good point.
John said he was also starting park for RSS for a while.
Oh, Yaley? Yeah.
I'm guessing Yaley.
Yeah, he's had a very interesting career. I like him a lot more now than I did when he was, kind of the hot stuff coming up.
I'll be right back, guys. I have to go run off real quick. Kid issue. So I'm going to mute myself. Y'all continue. Be right back.
Okay.
So Deb, what did to go back to the Speed Channel thing? You like the trackside shows. What else did you like about that network?
I don't remember a whole lot about the Speed Network. I'm going to be honest with you. I remember watching, it's kind of like what Race Hub is now. I remember something like that, and I really liked it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they certainly had that. My favorite one, and I don't know if this is the one you're thinking of, I think it was called NASCAR Inside Winston Cup or Nextel Cup, and it was hosted by Alan Bestwick, and it was him, and in its prime, it was Johnny Benson, Ken Schrader, and Michael Waltrip. And they had some other interchangeable parts as the years went on. Chad Canals ended up on it a lot. Greg Biffle did it. But anyway, it was like a once a week show, and they would do very candid reviews of it. It wasn't just a highlights package. They would actually talk about how Michael Waltrip would be very truthful and talk about how he messed up badly that week or whatever, and that kind of thing. It was
and I like the candid. Yeah, I like the candid banter with anything. I like when people are just like, yeah, I sucked and here's why.
And it's, there needs to be something like that, because it's, being candid's good, but it also needs to be calm. It needs to be a conversation. There's far too much, being excited during the race is cool. When you're watching a race and you feel like Dale Jr. is really elbowing you in the ribs to, hey, did you see that spin out or whatever? Yeah, that's awesome. But I really don't like how you have, during the week, you have people getting just as excited when talking about, Truck Series silly season. It doesn't make any sense to me.
That's not nearly as exciting as actual in race material.
Yeah, it's because you had that balance. You had the very excitable race broadcast, and then you had the very calm and candid review shows. And I think that's what really helped the Speed Channel during that time.
Andrew Sherwin made a great point about Gibbs.
Mm-hmm.
Yaley and Logano both drove for Gibbs, but have wildly different careers, and now neither one of them drive for Gibbs.
Right. Well, the Logano thing was amazing about how you could basically trade drivers and have it work out good for everybody. Because obviously Logano got better when he went to Penske, and I'm trying to think of the other part of it, because I know Kurt Busch was involved in that, as was AJ Allmendinger to some degree, because he went to Penske during that time, and then of course Kenseth coming into the 20 rule saved that car. But yeah, that was pretty wild. But yeah, that was a very good point, Andrew.
So when Chrissy comes back, I'm going to do it anyway. We are going to open it to any random questions that somebody may have and give that like 5 minutes, and then we'll wrap it up. So if anybody watching has any questions for Matthew, Chrissy, or I, go ahead with them and we will answer them to the best of our ability.
So while y'all are thinking, I was just updated by my husband that that video that Bristol shared of the dirt, and Denny commented, "When's the asphalt arrive?" All that fun stuff.
Mm-hmm.
My husband Joe had commented and asked a good question. He said to Bob Puckers, he said, "Hey Bob, is there going to be dirt on pit road?" And Bob said, "No." Fun fact, we learned it. And then apparently a lot of people that were watching or reading said, "Great question. Finally, a good question. That was a good question." He's proud of himself.
So wait a second. So they're going to take them down an asphalt pit road back onto dirt?
It's like that at regular dirt tracks. A lot of dirt. I mean, you don't have a lot of pit stops in dirt racing, but there's plenty of them where they're going onto pit road on asphalt. It's going to get dusty. It's not going to be a clean pit road. I mean, I think even Eldora has some pavement in that area. It's not a hard clay surface like the track is. But I'm interested now though with that is how far down the apron are they going to go?
That's a good question.
Because when they did it last time they did it in the 90s or whatever, it was all the way down to the inside wall, because the sprint cars, they went all the way down to it because they needed all that room, and so did the late models. And because it would be really cool if they do that, because then we could see some real 4 or 5 wide in the NASCAR type cars.
That is true. So Andrew Sherwin, now, for those of you who don't follow him or know, he likes to get his toes painted, which is totally fine. Y'all do whatever you want. He just appreciates keeping his feet clean. And then he also decided, you know what? If I'm getting my feet clean, I'm gonna throw some color on them, because you know what? I do what I want. And when I was in Atlanta, we went and we got our toes done together, and I did. What color did we do? You did. I think he did Hooters orange, if I remember correctly, because he's also a Chase fan. And I think I did, I don't remember.
You either did teal or pink. Like, let's be honest.
I think it was, honestly, I think it was like some sort of like pink color. But then the second time I got them done, which was not with him, and he was mad at me for that, I went with my friend Shannon, who I was staying with in Atlanta, my best friend Shannon, and I got blue, Chase blue, Napa blue. But right now my toes are, not colored because mom life. I cleaned them and just kind of have clear on it. So not that exciting. Yes, orange for Hooters and Chase.
Mine are purple because that's my favorite color and it's still football season.
And I'm going to guess Matthew does not have his toes painted.
No, I'm all natural, thanks.
So Joe asked me to ask you, Matthew, where did the whole Ben thing come from? I know there's a guy named Ben, but when did you guys decide instead of to do the whole play on words with the thing? Because I know that was a thing online a few years ago.
Yeah, and that's really the entire origin story of it.
Figured it out. Told you.
Yeah, he had actually had the site a few years before I came aboard. But yeah, it was just a clever internet leet speak or whatever it's called at the time. So it's kind of punchy. Most people mispronounce it. We get called the Ben more often than not, but yeah, most people seem to remember it.
I'd be lying if I said Deb and I didn't take a minute when you sponsored our episode with Eddie DeHaan to be like, is it Tubben? Is it Taben? Is it how do we say it? We should ask Matthew. We literally, that was our
first word. Did. I was like, hey, I need you to pronounce that for me. I write for them, but sometimes, I don't know how to pronounce it. So
there's a few things that we mess up. It's fine. We're human.
Well, when you open things up to sponsoring episodes again, we'll do it over, and then you'll have a clean slate for it.
Deal. I like it. We're figuring out the whole setup for the new season because things.
No, take your time with it, and I didn't get to say this because we didn't do a real formatted opening, but I'm really glad you guys are back doing what you're doing, and I really hope it stays this way of just the two of you guys doing your thing and having guests or even not having guests, because this is how it should be.
Thank you. We agree. Though we've enjoyed our experiences for what they were and lessons learned, you have to always, Deb? Look for the
things.
Always. You gotta take the good with the bad and learn from the bad to find the good. So that is our thing moving forward, especially for everybody out there with 2020. It was a dumpster fire and a half, but there was so much good to be found. Y'all need to remember there was good that came from 2020. As a whole, it was an awful, terrible, no good, bad year, but there's a lot of good. You got to look at the NASCAR community on Twitter. We got huge. The whole iRacing thing was new, and now it's a thing. It's a legit thing. There's people that have never been into NASCAR before who are into NASCAR because of that was what to watch. And you have to remember, y'all got to look at the positive to get through the bad. That is my PSA, not to get too preachy, but just saying. And there's always cold beer. Plus, Chase won the championship in 2020, so it's not that bad. I'm not biased at all, I swear.
No. Anyway. We're not going to show our bias. Anyway.
Crickets, guys. Crickets. Jeez. Just kidding.
Any last questions? You got 1 minute and we're going to get off here. Because I am exhausted after today.
So while they're doing that, let me go ahead and do my last little plug.
Do it.
Yeah, just look out on taben.com. You can follow me at MJ Burroughs or at Taben, DOTCOM.
Or both.
Yep. And coming up soon, we're going to be doing our new Mountain Dew review for the melon flavor, the big speed article, reflection, and then it's full steam ahead until Deb's next piece involving relationships in NASCAR. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And also, last but not least, I need you guys to send me some logos of your podcast, whatever the most up-to-date ones are, so I can get an iRacing wrap made for you guys, and we can go from there. That way whoever I'm racing with, when they come around to lap me for the 5th time, they'll have something to look at.
You're so negative. I'm just kidding. You're awesome. I'm teasing. Anyway, I love that. We will send you some fast lap
Yes,
pictures.
I'll email it to you after we get off here because I'm on my laptop that has all the artwork in it.
And then also, if you want to put it to the community, even figure out what kind of car you guys want wrapped for it. I race most everything, but if you guys think of something special for that, I'd be more than happy to make that happen.
Awesome.
I like it.
It'll be fun.
And Paxton and Oakley both say thank you for watching.
Yes.
And our main drivers are odd numbered. I like it. Good observation, Christian. Odd numbers are great.
My toes are like a glittery muted purple, Andrew. Just so you know. It's an OPI color. I don't know. I really like it because it's purple.
It's purple. That's all that matters.
I'm not going to show my toes on YouTube, so.
Nope. There's a special website for that, I'm sure.
Make money somehow.
Right.
Anyway,
with that said, thank you guys for hanging out with us. It's a work in progress. We enjoy the live. We love having you guys here to hang out with us. Thank you, Matthew, again for hanging out with us and being on our show.
My pleasure. Thank you guys for having me.
Of course.
Anytime. So that's it. Thank you for watching Fast Lap with Chrissy and Deb. Have a good evening.
Bye, guys. Have a wonderful night.